The Square Ball Podcast.
Hello, welcome. Weekly show. Dan, Michael, Rob, in a show that's brought to you with Levi Solicitors.
Absolutely is, yep. Still going with it.
They're still hanging on in there, despite your shambolic reads every time plugging their services.
But people know what they are now.
Yeah.
Because of my shambolic reads, so it kind of worked, didn't it?
In many ways, you're the good guy.
Well done me, patting myself on the back.
That is high performance, isn't it?
Yeah. What are your non-negotiables? Are they wills, probate and conveyancing?
Always, yeah. I want them every time.
Loads of people moving house at this time of year. If you're on the market, conveyancing.
Got to have it. You mean you literally have got to have it?
Yeah.
Someone to do with the contracts. And
you're not restricted to using Levi's if you're in Leeds. By the way, you can use them from around the country because they have a website. They have ability to work via that website at a distance. Mm-hmm. It's good, isn't it?
The internet, yeah, it's good.
Oh, what an invention!
Is that a new thing?
Yeah, it's caught on. It's gonna go off big time in 2024.
Good stuff. That's quite a hot take you've had there, Michael. Thank you. If you want to find Levi Solicitors on that internet, head to https it'll be now, won't it? / www.levisolicitors.co.uk. Then you put slash
main _HTML.
no.
And I put this into Google, right? Is that how it works?
The Square Ball. Yeah, levisolicitors.co.uk / the Square Ball for details on that. Thank you to Levi's for their support. Should we get into the weekly chat then, which is a roundup of stuff that's happened? We've spoken about Luke Ayling on the separate Luke Ayling show, which should be in your feed before this, so we don't probably need to repeat ourselves there.
Miss you, Luke.
You still missing him?
Still miss him.
Yep.
Miss Jed Spence?
Well, let's talk about that. We've done a bit on the member show as well on right backs this week, which will be coming out after the Cardiff game, I think. And just about falling in love with right backs. We never fell in love with Jed Spence, but I felt like we had the potential to. But what an odd career arc he's had. Having gone back to Spurs and then straight out to Genoa, because you can't play for 3 clubs in 1 year. So if they wanted to kind of get him out of their hair, he had to go out to another club. He couldn't just stay at Spurs or play any minutes for them. So
feels like very old news, this, doesn't it, Jed Spence? But it all happened quite quickly. I think it was the day we recorded, wasn't it? Last week, I think the show went out, and then about an hour or two afterwards.
I mean, as is always the way. Like I'm so glad that we've signed the right back that we're going to have signed immediately after this show comes out that we haven't been able to talk about. What do you think of him?
He's good. He's Welsh.
Yep.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Good strong start.
Well, you have to narrow it down because that's the whole squad now.
Yeah, we're on link with Welsh right backs, aren't we? But for now, well, a week ago anyway, it was Jed Spence was our right back. But it's surprising that he'd gone back.
How old is he now? 23?
Yeah.
You get the feeling that he's going to get to like 30 or whatever and just go, oh, shit.
He's the same age as Ampadu, and
Right.
you contrast them two. I think they are two careers going in very different directions, it feels like.
Yeah. It's just a shame as well that you don't have when you're 23 or whatever, you don't have the presence of mind. You can't, just by definition have the wisdom of somebody who's in middle age, but you just want to say to him, look, don't chuck this one in the bin.
You must notice him that he's not playing many games of football, though. And I think if that's your job, I think at some point you'd be like,
But that's the questions around the attitude.
It's going to be a problem at some point.
Is he more caught up in the trappings of the lifestyle and the money versus the actual playing side of it? Because one stops eventually if you don't do the other.
It is a bit of a recurring theme, isn't it? Even when we signed him, I was looking back at some athletic stuff about when Spurs signed him, and they were sort of repeating some of the attitude problems he had with Warnock. But then I just sort of think, well, if Warnock thinks you're a wanker, you're probably doing something right. But then even at Forest, there was a tale that basically from January he seemed to know that he was off to Spurs, but Forest played an FA Cup game on the telly and the rest of his teammates were really pissed off at him because they thought that he just took it upon himself to be like, right, I'm on the telly, I'm going to get a big move, I'm just going to play for myself here. And then at Leeds, it just didn't happen for him, did it? I thought, a bad injury at the wrong time, but then that game when he came back was against Blackburn, and he just played as a left winger and left Jadon Anthony to be left back, and it was a bit of a red flag where you go, it's not a great look that when it's like your first game back and there's a lot of expectation and you're just kind of ignoring what you're meant to be doing. And
it's fine for a footballer not to care, but ultimately you won't get very far, will you, if that's the case?
I mean, I suppose there are tales of footballers who are not interested in football, like David Batty, but didn't translate on the pitch, did it? I suppose, like we kind of sort of subsequently learned he's not into football.
Yeah, but even if you treat it as a job,
you're still got to be professional with it, I suppose.
Lean into it.
I think with Spence, I can see it could have gone a different way if maybe he's someone who, once he gets in the team, if he's in the team in his favourite position and he gets on a run, maybe it pans out differently for him because he's happy. Whereas being injured, probably was kind of going home a bit because there's no point being at training. Your weekends are free because you've not got games.
Rehabilitation's boring.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know, maybe it pans out differently if it goes another way from here and he doesn't get the injury. But as it is, we never saw anything at Leeds that made him worth keeping, I wouldn't say particularly. We know he does have ability in him, is the thing.
He's just not shown it very much, has he? And I do really like the way Farke's dealt with this, the way he's just gone, this isn't working. I don't think it's worth the hassle. See you later. We'll crack on and maybe sign someone else. I mean, we do need to sign someone else, but yeah, I quite like that he's just gone, nah, let's just do something else.
I mean, I feel sorry for Spence in a way because Spurs do this. Like they buy people without a real plan. Like they bought Jack Clark, Rodon. They buy these people out of the Championship because they go, they seem young and promising. It's like, we're going to play him. Nah, we'll just send him out on loan and probably do well. Then they'll come back and play for us in like a year or two. But it's not. It never feels like it.
Yeah, you wonder how much of that is Daniel Levy as well, because I think it was Levy who signed Jack Clark, wasn't it? And was it Pochettino was there at the time? Just had no particular, like, I'm not going to play him. So well done.
I think Spence joining Tottenham, I think that was Greta Steinson maybe that signed him there, and it was more of a club signing than a manager signing. But I mean, everyone does it. We do it, don't we? Look at Sonny Perkins and Gyabi and players like that. It's not unique to...
It's speculating to accumulate, isn't it?
Yeah.
But, and some of them work, some of them don't. And I suppose you've taken a 20 million punt on Jed Spence. It doesn't work out. If they can get 10 million back for him, all right, it's a 10 million hit, but clubs waste loads more money than that just hiring and firing managers, don't they? So
Spurs being real experts in the field.
Yeah, but strange business is football, isn't it?
Have you seen who he's going to be playing with at Genoa?
Oh, is it Vieira?
No. Right era at Leeds. No.
Go on.
Caleb Ekuban.
Oh, right.
Which I sort of think, fair play. I'd like to do that.
Yeah. Yes.
Just go live in Italy. Great.
Can he score goals yet, Ekuban? Because that's the thing at Leeds. He always looked kind of good until he got in front of goal and you were like, okay.
I think he can score goals in some leagues.
Right. Fair enough. I'd completely forgotten about Ekuban. I was thinking, the Italian players we had there are too old to still be knocking around. Like, he's not Belushi or anyone, is it? But yeah, okay. See how it goes from...
We're at an interesting point in the window, aren't we, from a Leeds United perspective? Coming round for the middle of the month, with the departure of two right-backs in the form of Ayling and Spence, there's that growing anxiety around Leeds not moving because we've seen full-back positions being neglected in the past. Just sign a left-back, by the way. If you could just sign a left-back, that'd be super. Sign a right-back.
One of each now. But if we sign two left-backs, we can pretend... we can pretend Sam Byram is a right-back, so he can be a right-back. But at the moment, he needs to be a left back because we ain't got enough of them.
I think he classes himself as a left back now, doesn't he?
He can definitely do both though.
Yeah, when he's fit, and that's the danger, isn't it? Is going into the second half of the season without quite enough resources in the fullback positions.
It does feel like a very Leeds United January in that we went into it just sign a left back. It's fine, just get a left back. And now we
ditched two
11 days into it, and now we need a left back and at least one right back. At the minute, the squad is weaker than it was at the start of the month, which is a worry.
Yeah.
It's all right that we're just signing all the Welshmen.
Yeah.
Looking through some of the potential incomings. Connor Roberts, Welsh right back. Nico Williams, Welsh right back. Kiefer Moore, Welsh striker.
Do you think
Chris Mepham, Welsh centre back? Just they're the only players we're being linked with.
Do you think they're watching these players on Y Scout and they don't realise they've still got the Welsh filter activated?
What coincidence? Not many players, are there?
This is weird, isn't it?
Hardly any fullbacks available.
But it's an interesting dilemma what we do at the fullback, but they're the obvious ones. Even more interesting to me is what do we do going forward? Do they stick with what we've got? Do they add that extra body? Because the discussion around kind of an advanced midfielder or number 10 has quietened off a little bit with all this right back chat, and I'm interested to see what they want to do there. Because Brooks has been linked at Bournemouth, but he's not necessarily a number 10, is he?
I think we're going to sign Kiefer Moore and play him as a number 10.
Right.
Even though it's a massive grizzled
with
championship
his mobility and his pace.
I think Farke's going to be like, nope, I think it can work. I know you didn't like Joel Perreault there. Wait till you see this. Holding it.
Big flick-ons from the number 10 position.
Exactly.
But, yeah, do you want to see us get that extra body in there? I think it'd be a decent move, wouldn't it?
I think it would help. I'm glad that there was talk about Fabio Carvalho at Liverpool and he's gone to Hull, but I don't think things where they're demanding he plays a certain amount of minutes, just we need to avoid things like that because it doesn't work like that, does it? We were in Nketiah. But I still think full-back's just the crucial one. Well, the crucial two, I guess.
Yeah, and Nico Williams is being rumoured, isn't he? But he actually was Jed Spence's replacement at Forest, wasn't he? Right. So we're going through him. I don't know who's the Nico Williams replacement we're going to get
in a few years.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure which way that's going to go. It's like Russian dolls sort of situation. But he'd be fine, wouldn't he? Connor Roberts would be fine.
These are all fullbacks you're naming, so yeah, cool.
Yeah, just a solid Championship fullback would be good for now. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. But I just want Archie Gray to have options, to give us options in midfield.
And when he was pushed into midfield at Peterborough, he looked good. And okay, it's Peterborough, which is a lower standard of opposition than the Championship by definition, but he looked good, didn't he? And it was nice to see him back there.
Yeah.
He's done all right at right back, certainly at Ellen Road. Obviously, it's the away games he's found difficult. It does feel as well like if Jamie Shackleton is ever going to be a Leeds United player, this is his chance. But the way it tends to go with Shackleton is that he sort of warms into it, starts to look promising, and then gets injured for 4 weeks or something. So who knows?
Yeah. Cresswell falls into that similar sort of bracket to Shackleton. Is he ever going to actually make it at Leeds? That feels fairly distant right now, doesn't it? And he's been linked to moves away. You saw Richard Cresswell, his dad, who's also his agent, making noises ahead of the Peterborough game. What's the best way to describe them? Expressing his disappointment that his son wasn't in the squad, should we say?
It was the game where you thought, well, this might be his last chance. Maybe he'll get a start in this. If he does well, maybe he finds his way back in from this, but then to not even be in the squad, even though we're continuing to just flog Ampadu by making him change position and saying, oh, well, he can fill in there for this game. It's kind of, it looks over for him.
Well, there's an interesting thing that I do wonder when you bracket him and like Joffrey's being linked to both Celtic and Rangers. We could do a job share there and do both of them at the same time.
They'd love that.
Yeah,
he's been
linked to Plymouth. JB also been heavily linked to Plymouth. You wonder, are they trying to maybe just create that little bit of profit and sustainability headroom, like within the wage bill, by moving a few fringe players around and those that are not really getting minutes, can we afford to sacrifice them in order to bring in several left backs and several right backs that Michael wants? But like Charlie Cresswell he's going to be all profit and sustainability profit if he was to move out, isn't he? That's the thing.
I mean, what's the talk on him? Is it that he's going to go out on loan, or is it a permanent thing?
There seems to be. I mean, it's all complete rumours. I'm not sure I've seen anyone actually reputable suggest a definite move for him, either on loan or permanent. Just that he is looking to get out. It seems to be the gist of it. But yes, I mean, the sale at this point. I mean, he's old enough that you think, well, and he's played enough football. You think, well, and we're in the Championship now, so you think, well, if we're not going to use him now, realistically, are we ever gonna?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I would like him to stay, mainly because if he does go, it feels like we need to sign another centre back as well. But I think the thing at Peterborough was that Farke named Cooper on the bench ahead of him, and I think he admitted afterwards that Cooper just wasn't fit and wasn't going to play. And you think, well, that doesn't feel right. Like, it's weird. I feel like we're still getting used to having a squad because it's something like it's a luxury we've not had for years. But at the same time, Cresswell is at that point where it's like, are we ever going to play him? Because if we're not, it's pointless in being here. Really.
Yeah, he's 21. He had played 28 games in the Championship last year. It's his time, surely, if he's going to be, and if he's going to be here next year, because Cooper's not. If we don't trust him this year, is he going to be any better next year? Having not played,
he plays on the same side as Rodon. So,
and then are we going to have to just buy? Are we just going to end up buying someone else next year anyway? And then he's in exactly the same position. So I don't know. It feels like it's as much as I want it to work for him here. It feels like he's probably going to leave. But it is based on absolutely nothing. Before people start, accusing me of knowing something. I know nothing. If you listen to this for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say any long-term listener of you would know.
I mean, you will know, but like Phil Ant told us, has he? He's told us all the players are signing, but we can't tell you those.
Yeah. Just talking about Plymouth, we got them in the FA Cup as you predicted, Rob. Although we did predict an away tie, didn't we, when we were chatting on the match ball about that?
Still time for the replay, don't you worry.
Yeah, it's absolutely
Albeit,
true.
I think we picked about 4 teams, didn't we, that we were going to draw. So
Actually, if we did draw against them on the 27th, the replay...
Are there definitely FA replays?
The replay would presumably be the midweek, assuming they are. It'd be the 6th, 7th, wouldn't it? And then we'd come back, play Rotherham, and then go down to Plymouth again. That's a very Leedsy thing to do, isn't it? That would be.
Yeah, we'll end up resting some players, and then it becomes completely self-defeating because we then have an extra game.
No, we won't do that. Farker's not the type, as he proved at Peterborough. He wants to get these things won and done, doesn't he?
I must admit, like, obviously it was very nice that we had a home draw. And then my immediate reaction was, can I be asked to go to this?
Come on. After all that waiting, all that
Imagine
run-up.
I'm going to make myself a little FA Cup out of tinfoil.
Yeah?
Nice.
We don't have many opportunities, do we, Ellen Road? So I think
What are you going to back? Are you going to put on some card, or are you just going to make it? Why don't you make a 3D FA Cup just out of foil? Yeah. Full. I want it full size.
I get the foil from Costco, so it's about that wide. It's really the really good stuff.
It was the original FA Cup, I think, was made by, was it Fattorini's in Bradford? So I think Fattorini's is still knocking about. You could go down there and...
This is just Bradford knowledge. No one else knew that.
Go down there and say to him, hey, look, I'm going to make myself an FA Cup out of tin foil. I know you probably did yours out of silver or whatever you did that's expensive. You
Cup
lads.
stuff.
Yeah, cup stuff, yeah. Could you just give me some pointers, or could I put my tin foil into the same mould that you used? I think that's how they do it,
Still
isn't
got it, yeah.
Yeah, just pop it in the mould.
Okay, I'll ask him. I'll look into it.
Elsewhere, we've been moved a load for TV. And is this you on the sheet here, Michael? Cheers, you dicks.
Away at Plymouth, I mean, we just mentioned it there.
Yeah, hideous.
That's the real dick move, isn't it?
Jesus.
12:30.
Yeah.
I think there's one train that gets in before kick-off, and if it's delayed...
No, I think the first one gets in at 1:45.
Oh, is that? I thought someone had said you could get there before kick-off, but if the train's delayed by like 10 minutes...
but to get that train, you have to fly to Amsterdam, fly back from Amsterdam to Exeter Airport and get a train from there. Is that
and it's still probably cheaper than the train in the first place.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We played Plymouth at home. That was at 3 p.m, wasn't it?
Yes.
And they had to set off at like 4 in, didn't they?
Cool. Yeah, it was the lad on propaganda, wasn't it? Who I think he'd been up at 4 and the coaches left at like 5 or 6 or whatever. So
nice fan-friendly trip.
Yeah. In related news, apparently Sky have said to the club, look, just on the QT, anything you could do about the Sky TV is fucking shit. Chance. Do you know what the club said back to them?
Stop moving games.
Stop moving the fixtures. Yeah. If you don't want Leeds fans to sing that, stop making him get up in the middle of the night to go to Plymouth.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Yeah, it's like an obvious solution to the obvious problem.
I don't like a 12:30 kickoff for a home game either. To be clear,
no,
just a shit atmosphere. Everyone's up far too early. You don't want to leave the house at like 10:30, do you, for football? It feels wrong. Yeah, unless you're going to a pub. But to have to actually head towards the ground like in the morning, it's not right. It's not right at all.
And while we're talking about cocks, hey, we are saying farewell. We'll sign off this section by saying farewell to Robin Koch and thank him, but more specifically his social media team, for a really heartfelt departure message. My time in Leeds was one of the best and most important in my life. I'm pleased he's had a nice time, because we had a shite time, didn't we, for most of it. I gained valuable experience for my career and my life and made many new friends. I will always have very positive memories of the whole club and will always keep my fingers crossed. Thanks for everything. All the best! !
I feel like, haven't they done this before?
Yeah, he did it in the summer.
Why are we doing this again?
Because he's definitely going to Frankfurt, isn't he? So he's not forgetting about us, or his people are not forgetting about us.
Had he been pondering a new contract to this point, had he? He's like, I'm going to go out on loan for the final year of my contract, but, maybe come January I'll sign a new one.
Robin Koch, right? So contrast what's happened this week. Luke Ayling has left with this heartfelt goodbye that's completely authentic. On the other side of this, we've had Jesse Marsh flapping his fucking gums, talking about things that didn't happen at Leeds, but if they had happened, then things would have turned out differently. Shut up. And then this robotic fucking nonsense. And I realised I view Robin Koch as a robot.
It's because he's got a very angular face.
But he is. I don't think did you ever really see him on like an LUTV interview? Did he ever say anything that humanised him? Or was he just this creature that ran onto the pitch, did some stuff for a bit, and then went?
Referred to him as a creature is funny for some reason.
He just never seems...
He assumed his human form when he came on the pitch.
Yeah.
You saw him dressing room scampering around, he was on all fours.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he put his mask on and come out on his twos.
He never struck me as a real human being. He's not somebody... If I bumped into him in Leeds...
He did apparently do good community stuff, in fairness.
Of course
I did see people pointing that out.
He was just like a German hipster, wasn't he? Which was kind of, when things were going all right, it was kind of fun. But I described him in the Daily Email as like the most inoffensive of all the shite bags to leave in the summer. But it's not exactly a compliment when he was at Leeds for 3 years. And I'm still like, I don't know what you're good at. I don't really necessarily know what you're terrible at. But it's been a pretty shit time those 3 years.
Yeah. You've just been there.
Yeah. He was a very composed defender on the face of it because he never seemed to be rushed. But sometimes he should have rushed because there was a player like a yard away just stroking the ball into a net, and you were like, you could have maybe been a bit quicker there.
Well,
I know you were trying to look like Franz Beckenbauer, strolling around, running the game from the back, playing out.
Speaking of which, I hope there's no minute silence.
I don't think they'll risk it. Don't think they'll risk it at Leeds United.
But I look at him and I contrast him with Joe Rodon. And Joe Rodon is a grizzled championship human bastard. And I mean that in a very complimentary way. Like, I feel like I understand him. I can see like the human in him.
Chucks himself about.
Yeah. Body on the line kind of stuff. And Robin Koch was just kind of gliding around following his programming.
Do you remember in the first season up, though, we didn't sign Ben White and we got Koch and Llorente for sort of the same money we were talking about there?
For a time, it looked all right.
All right. When we were finishing ninth and we finished the season and we kept a load of clean sheets and stuff, you were like, probably good business, actually, that.
Can we, to an extent, forgive this shower of bastards for the complete derailment of things post-Bielsa, and that it probably brought out the worst in them, and it's exposed them in the worst way as well, because they all jumped ship as soon as we went down?
I mean, Koch was... I think he avoids the sort of full rat tag because he did at least have a season where we were okay. Like, he hung around for a while, didn't he? Whereas the ones that arrived last summer and left straight away, that was just a full in, fuck stuff up, leave while it's all on fire. Is how it felt.
Yeah, Max Verber was here for 10 minutes.
Yeah, and like Aronson and Christensen, it felt like they arrived with a bit of fanfare, and then as soon as it was clear things were going bad, they were clearly on the phone to their agents at some point in like March going, you need to get something lined up for me. I'm not fucking sticking around. It's a right mess. I'm not having this.
I am. I'm quite grateful though to these Bundesliga clubs signing our shit defenders. Cause I think, is it Gladbach where Verber is? I think they've got like one of the worst defensive records in the league, and yet they're still talking him up as like a good player. And then Koch at Frankfurt, it was their first friendly back after the winter break the other day, and he scored the opener. But then they conceded 5 goals in the space of 30 minutes. So I think. Yeah, it's weird that other teams like rating these players that we absolutely hate.
I mean, this might be a discussion for a future week, depending on if it happens or not. But Llorente to PSG, did you see that one coming?
Yeah, what? I mean, they were linked with Strauch as well, weren't they? Which I like Strauch. I didn't see him as being that calibre, but has Victor Otto got a job there? It can be the only real explanation for all this, but
he might need one soon.
Yeah, that's true.
The Square Ball Podcast.